Have you ever been to a nudist camp? Guess which state has the most nudist camps in the country? California? Florida? Nope. Indiana. Or it used to be, at least. I don't know how it is today, but way back in the 80s, that was the case. As a matter of fact, there is a small town called Roselawn, Indiana, that's just south of Chicago that has two. You see, one was there first, of course. Somebody had to be first. And the people that went there kind of got frustrated with the overemphasis on sex and swinging and all these sex parties that they were having in the clubhouse. So they decided to start their own. So that's how there got to be two in Roselawn, Indiana. And this is just south of Chicago. So it draws heavily from the Chicago crowd. Now, twice a year, both of these places have contests. Miss Nude America, Miss Nude Galaxy, things like that. So years ago, I was born and raised in Indianapolis. And for reasons I won't get into in this video because it'll make it too long, I decided to start dancing in a gentleman's club. And at this particular club, there was a Miss Nude World who had won one of the contests up there at one of the camps. And they were getting ready to have another contest up there. So the owner said that they were going to take a bus up there of anybody who wanted to go. So transportation would be provided. And any of the ladies who entered these contests and happened to win or come in second place or even third place, they would get a raise. So naturally, you know how it is, money talks. And a lot of the ladies decided that this would be a fun day and a way to maybe make some more money. So I decided to go along with them. And as luck would have it, I won the contest. So at this contest, there's lots of photographers for men's magazines, and they're posing the ladies in certain positions, and then they're also just taking photographs of the ladies as they're participating in the contest. So I got to be in a lot of the magazines. Now, one of the perks of winning this contest, that meant that I had to come back the next year and give my crown up to the next winner. So while I was there competing, one of the gentlemen that was there said he was involved in making movies and asked me if I would like to make movies. Well, you know what kind of movies. And I said no. At the time, I was single, but I was dating someone and very serious. As a matter of fact, the next year when I came back to give my crown away, I was married. So, and my husband came with me. And again, this gentleman was there. Now, I had told my husband about, what had happened, how I'd been offered, an opportunity. And at first, it didn't seem like a viable option, but money was tight. My husband didn't like his job as a plumber, and he didn't want to work there anymore. So I had gone back into dancing. And I noticed that a lot of the ladies that came in as a feature dancer to work in the club for just a week, they were making some really good money. And their shows were not very good. As a matter of fact, some of them were really bad. And I started to think, why are these ladies getting more money for such a horrible performance? Well, it's because they're being paid for the performance. They're being paid on the amount of people that they draw into the club. So if this woman is well known because she's been in Penthouse or something, she's going to get a good crowd. And that's why she's worth the extra money. Now, if she makes movies, she's going to get an even better crowd and an even bigger salary. So, over time, of course, we had a year to discuss this, my husband and I. And we told the gentleman at the at the contest, when I gave up my crown, that I would be interested in learning more about this. And of course, one thing led to another. So the Ponderosa Sun Club in Roselawn, Indiana, in many ways, is where I got my start. So I kept coming back because at these contests, they needed someone to MC, someone to host. And there was a Miss Nude Galaxy and a Mr. Nude Galaxy. So I would host the contest for the men. Well, after a few years, they decided they wanted to hire somebody with a name to host the contest for the ladies. And they ended up with Ron Jeremy. Now, I had met Ron Jeremy years ago, back in the mid-'80s, when my first movie premiered in New York City. I was there for like 2.5 months because I was dancing in between the showings of my films. And the films were sold out, so they kept getting held over. And my act also got held over. And then there was a bunch of different photographers there for men's magazines that wanted me to pose for them. So I was in New York City for like 2.5 months. My husband went with me. And in being in New York that long, I got to meet a lot of the people that were in the New York scene in that genre, including Ron Jeremy. We went to Plato's Retreat together. Now, back in the day, Ron was a different person than he is today. We're all different, you know. We all change, whether it's to stick, you know, with what we've been doing and become more of what we were before, or to hopefully mature and find better ways, you know. I don't know if it was because my husband was there with me and he accompanied me everywhere I went, that Ron was so respectful to me back in the day. And then, of course, things changed. Like I said, every year we would do these contests. I didn't get to spend much time with Ron at these contests because we were both busy. We'd come in the night before. I would come with my husband and my kids. There was a family section there. And that's where I spent most of my time with my kids. And there was somebody there who watched not only my kids, but the children of the other people who were involved in putting on the show. And then Ron spent his time with the swingers. He wanted to party, you know. And, you know, there was a lot of people who enjoyed that. And it got to the point where even them, he was annoying. He was annoying them. He was being pushy. He wouldn't take no for an answer. And he couldn't just calm down and be a normal human being without humping somebody's leg like a dog, you know? So they had certain handlers that they had to assign to him to keep him under control, unfortunately. So I saw, you know, him deteriorating. I never thought that he would do the things that he has been accused of doing. And after having listened to the testimonies on YouTube channels and such, I have to believe it, because the things that they're saying, I've seen him say those things. I've seen him do those things. So, you know, not all of it, just the lead up to it. So I can see that there's definitely truth in that. But anyway, back to the Ponderosa Sun Club. This is kind of where I got my start. So every year I would come back and do the show and that kind of thing, up until 1997. And then I had some health issues, and that's when they really started to manifest. And I couldn't continue. You know, I had to go to the hospital. So that was the end of that. Never went back afterwards. But the people there were very kind, very nice, wonderful people. And I miss them. I miss them very much. Everybody was always very good to me. But, you know, that's Indiana. There's a lot of good people in Indiana. It's a red state. People are very political nowadays. And I don't want to get into that too much, other than to say their education system is sorely lacking. So perhaps if the people had a little more education, they would be a little wiser in their choices. Let's just leave it at that. But most of the people there, they're good people. They're good from the heart, you know, they're kind people. And I know a lot of Democrats in Indiana as well. Anyway, thank you very much for watching my video.